Welcome to FullTiltPoker.net's $1 Million Cash Game. We're in the heart of London, and the best players in the world have descended upon us to battle it out on the felt. We've got Phil Ivey in seat number 7, 5-time Bracelet winner, almost $10 million in tournament earnings, and one of the most feared poker players in the world. Of course, in seat number 6, we have 11-time World Series Bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth. He's cashed a record 68 times at the World Series. And of course, we can't forget about Chris Jesus Ferguson. He won the 2000 World Series of Poker main event and most recently won the National Heads Up Championship. He's in seat number 8, and I remember he played very well in last year's $1 Million Cash Game. These are just 3 of what might be the most fearsome table ever assembled. All in all, 23 World Series bracelets and well over $40 million in earnings. And I am definitely in the most envious seat of the house, being able to call the action. And I'm alongside professional high-stakes poker player Gary Jones. How are you, Gary?
I'm very good. Very pleased to be here and very pleased to get to watch these boys in action. Of course, I've played with pretty well all of these at some point in my poker career. They really are some of the best players in the world. And I don't envy the people around this table, because this really is going to be the... And here we go. It's the first hand of the day.
Yeah, the action right away here. Phil Ivey is moving all in blind. And if we get this correct... He had... Patrick Antonius is calling this all in blind. And we're going to get the action started right away. Somebody at this table is going to have $200,000.
Yes.
Come on, David. Show us.
What is it?
All in.
I'm in trouble.
Yes! 6 high.
Ooh.
You could have the 6.
Yep, these two have decided they're going to get the action started nice and early. $100,000 in the dark without looking at their cards.
This is a very... With Phil, it's very close. We look at the cards and we know it has to be a tough match here. We look at the two players and we know it's going to be... It has to be a really tough decision. Gus is only small favorite. All right, let's see. Blood.
Not the 7. Ooh,
Oh, the 3.
Just put the queen out there.
Make it interesting.
Yeah, queen is interesting. We all.
You know what? I want you to hit a king right now, just to really make it a little salt.
Make it nasty when the 3 comes from the river.
Yeah.
He likes it nasty. He does like it nasty.
Don't tell everyone.
Okay, I won't.
Thank you.
Your ace is club is not making it.
Ooh.
At least
Here comes the queen now. You knew the queen was coming.
How many outs I have now? I have
Beautiful
4.
little 10 outer. 10 outer. 34-10.
Oh man. Boom.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, I wouldn't say there was a great deal of poker skill involved in that hand, but it certainly should help get the action going. Phil Ivey, 100,000 up.
Hey, we can't sell him short. This is why he is one of the most feared players in the game. Nobody can play 7-3 offsuit like Phil Ivey.
Patrick is one of the few gamblers left in poker, so we decided to shove in 100,000 apiece for the very first hand dealt and see what happens. And I got lucky to win it. I had the worst hand, and I got lucky to win it.
It's usually good for the game to do stuff like that, just to start the day. Many people, they play pretty bad when they're behind, but Phil can handle himself pretty well. And I would say that it doesn't really affect the way I play if I'm winning 100 or losing 100.
And we certainly came out with fireworks right away. Ivey up a quick $100,000. You can't underestimate how much money's at this table. We've got $1 million at the table. The only other player to buy in for $200,000 was actually Dwan, a fantastic online player, sitting in seat number 5. And once again, just to recap here, the blinds are 300, 600. The ante is 100. And Patrick Antonius has bought in for another 200. And just like that, he doubles up with 7-3 offsuit, and now he picks up pocket aces.
Well, it's looking like he's going to just be raising it up. Typical Phil Ivey style, but even Phil Ivey gets good hands every now and then. Pocket ace is as good as it gets. Call from David Benjamin in the small blind.
Yeah, of course, David Benjamin plays in the big game. One of the best players in the world. Fantastic online player. I know you played a lot with him, Gary, right?
Yeah, I played an awful lot with both David and Phil. and Tom Dwan as well. Regulars in my cash game.
Well, it's an interesting flop here.
Something there for David. Of course, Phil doesn't actually need anything with the aces in the hole. Betting a call.
A couple of diamonds out there.
3, no help to David.
Now, how does Ivey play this to extract the most value?
Well, I think he's just going to keep betting around the pot, maybe slightly under.
So remind our audience that Phil Ivey won the inaugural $1 Million Cash Game back in 2006, came in second place last year. And he's off to a good start this year.
He certainly is, up 100,000. Aces on the second hand. And he's going to win this one as well.
Yeah, 6 of spades is definitely a blank on the river.
He's just going to keep betting.
20,000.
Betting 20,000.
David Benjamin lays it down. I think he knows his jack's no good anymore.
And of course, and Ivey takes the first 2 pots
Two red cards.
of the $1 Million Cash Game in 2008.
Call.
Patrick Antonius with over almost $3 million in tournament earnings.
You're adopting a new way to play, eh?
But Ellie's got the jacks.
6,000 total bet.
Re-raised from Phil with the aces. It's the second time he's had them already.
You haven't?
Yeah, we could see fireworks here. Aces for Ivey.
Jacks for Ellie Lederer. Not a lot for David Benjamin. But if Ellie decides to flat call this... No, it looks like he's reaching deep. It's going to give him a chance to actually find out that he's behind.
Raise.
27.8.
27.8 total bet.
Up to 27,800. David Benjamin out of there very quickly.
All in. Call.
All in re-raise from Phil. Ivey. Ellie Lederer calls very quickly with the jacks.
Wow, and just like you said there, Lederer way behind here is a 4-to-1 dog, and this pot is huge. And all in from Ivey, a call.
I think Ivey's reputation going ahead of him there. Picture card comes, but it's not the one that Ellie wants to see. Ace is still out in front.
Lederer, he's going to need running clubs here or a jack.
That 10 limits his outs to the 2 remaining jacks. $200,000 in this pot.
Oh! What? And it's a jack of spades on the river. Just like that, Ivey gets snapped off.
Take a little walk in my world.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay, that's 50, that's 60.
And we can see here, Ellie Lederer, courtesy of that 2-outer. He is our big winner right now. He's up nearly $100,000. Ivey, even though he's lost, he's still up $33,000. And of course, Patrick Antonius, he is bringing up the rear. He's down $102,000. Hellmuth hasn't done much here, still down $17,000. And what must Ivey be feeling now?
Well, what a sensational way to get the 3rd season of the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 Million Cash Game up and running. Phil Ivey going all in, blind on the very first hand, and getting a call from Patrick Antonius. Phil Ivey came through that one, but their rivalry from last season already looks to be up and running. Join us again after the break to see if Patrick can work his way back into it.
Welcome to FullTiltPoker.net's $1 Million Cash Game. 8 players, over 40 million in tournament winnings at this table. What a treat we have here. The button is in front of Phil Ivey.
Why did I fold my queen 9, my king 9? That would have made the little gutter ball jack.
Patrick Antonius is taking a break.
600 to call.
I'm going to fold.
So it's Ellie Lederer in the big blind. Gus Hansen first to act, he folds.
Fold. Fold.
Dwan playing quite quiet for him. Phil Hellmuth reaching for his chips.
And he's in the cutoff seat with pocket 4s.
16.
Oh, yeah.
And he is going to raise this up.
1,600 to call.
He gets a caller from Phil Ivey.
Really want me to?
Fold. Total bet 1,600.
And Lederer, after winning that big pot, picks up a big hand.
66.
66?
66.
5,000 more to me.
Total bet, 6,600.
Guys, if Phil Hellmuth loses this pot,
Cool.
this could be a really, really good game.
The re-raise from Ali.
Really, really good.
And we've got
game.
action here.
Already the way he said 66, there was a little bit of steam in his voice. Might be the only one noticing, but that's what I do as a
I'm
poker
really
player.
steaming this hand.
I notice these small things.
Really
so.
steaming.
You do pay attention to little things.
I am
Yeah,
tilting.
yeah, that's important. I learned that from you, Mr. Ivey.
Check.
Just because you're
Check.
the best at that.
Hellmuth still in the lead with 2
Betting
pair.
6,000.
Not much there for anybody else. Pot is nearly $27,000. But you can sure that Hellmuth wants to take this one down now. Obviously, his pair can be counterfeited very easily.
Yeah, it's quite a small bet into the size of the pot. There's a little bit of a feeler.
12.
Raising to 12.
Minimum re-raise from Ali.
Almost as if he had pocket kings in his hand or nothing at all, right?
At least an ace-king kind of hand. These small raises really do put the pressure back on. Squirming in his seat. Looks like Dwan had a late night last night online.
Hellmuth trying to put the puzzle together here.
Pretty scary making it 12, knowing that somebody's going to look straight into his soul.
You might want to skip the raises for that.
You might want to just lay low because of that. You know I still love you, Mr. Hellmuth.
No worries, Gussie. I don't even mind a little commentary. It's all right. I don't even mind. What was that? 6 more. Flopped 8s full. Ellie, what do you have, Ellie? 8's full.
No. Oh no, 15 you mean? Yeah,
all right.
Cool.
Well, he's made the call.
Yeah, Hellmuth
I
is
thought he was squirming so much he was never going to call that one, but he did.
5 of hearts on the turn. Changes nothing. Pot is nearly 45,000 in chips. And if you're in Ellie's position here,
check.
You've been called. It's a tough spot to fire again, isn't it?
Well, Phil looks so uncomfortable.
Betting 5,000. Fold.
Didn't actually like such a small bet from Phil. It's almost like opening up the betting for very little reward, but as it happens, it's protected his pocket fours.
That's the way to play the game.
And Phil Hellmuth reads him right.
Yeah. What is the guy to stake? There was no chance he could ever be in the hole. No chance.
Buttons in front of Chris Ferguson.
We paid.
to take the ball in the hole, but there was no chance.
David Benjamin and Phil Ivey have a lot of history. They both play in the big game in Vegas together.
3,000.
And he's got ace-3 of clubs here.
Now we go to the ugly story.
Cool.
Another raise from Tom Dwan. Cool from Phil.
Yeah, he makes it 3,000. This time he's got a real hand.
About even for 5-6 holes.
And Ivey's going to call. Action back to Benjamin. He's not going to play this. Ivey with the ducks.
Cool.
Actually, Benjamin is going to play this. Pardon me.
Ace, 7, ace.
And the pot is 10,700.
Check.
And might Dwan get himself in trouble here with 2 aces out there? Obviously, 1 ace you probably get away from it. 2 aces though, can you get yourself in
Wow,
trouble?
what a turn card that is.
Oh, that is a magical turn card.
The question is David Benjamin going to get himself into trouble?
And of course, he's got the trip aces.
He can't be too happy with his kicker if it gets too expensive, though.
Exactly. If this pot gets very big, you know, what can you beat with ace-3?
5,600.
The thing facing durrrr now is how does he play it? Pretty sure that Phil's going to be out of this with his deuces.
Yeah, not much for him there.
Looks like he's going for a raise.
Well, he's going to try to build this pot up a little bit, extract maximum value from Benjamin. Now this checked around on the flop. And as you called it, Ivey quickly out, and we are heads up between David Benjamin with the trip aces. Tom durrrr Dwan with a full house. A magical turn for Dwan. Pot is $33,500. Action back to David Benjamin.
Yeah.
And he's going to call this. He knows that Dwan can be making a move.
I'm not a professional.
17-2.
So he calls. I think he wants to find out whether Tom's going to fire again on the river.
Of course.
That 7 means that David Benjamin goes in front with aces full. It's not a mystery for Tom Dwan, though.
No, of course, just sickening, sickening river there.
The only hand that David Benjamin could be losing to are ace-10 and 2 7s. So he can be feeling pretty confident right now.
I would imagine, and Benjamin's going to bet this, it looks like. And if you're Dwan, you just got to be sick. Great turn, awful river.
I think if I was David Benjamin, I'd have to check it. The only way he's going to get any action in this pot.
28,000.
I was actually going to ask you that. If you're Benjamin, do you check it? Because the only hand that you can actually beat is pocket 10s.
Exactly. And I don't think Tom's going to bet again. His only chance is to get someone who's bluffing. Maybe try and represent pocket jacks or pocket 9s or something. You wanted to see what the what Tom Dwan's going to do. Give him a chance to fire another bullet if he's bluffing. But the truth is, I think once that river card's come down, the action's over. The hand's pretty well finished.
On TBC, I don't know if Phil has ever made worse than a bogey. I mean, have you ever made worse than a bogey on TBC?
Daniel gave me 3 aside the last time we played. I told him the only way I'm going to come out the house is if you give me 3 aside. We played 27 holes. I didn't do too well. Okay?
See, your version of you don't doing too well. I don't know what that means. If you only won 55 or was 120 or. I mean, if you stand to earn like 350, I mean, it's pretty unlucky if you only win 120, right? I didn't do too well on that one, okay? So I'm more of a math guy, Phil. So I'm.
Hello, here comes Chris Ferguson with pocket kings.
Finish your speech.
I'm willing to bet he's not just going to flat call.
Think about that. That's sick.
From the way you said it, I'm guessing.
He raises it up to 4,000.
No.
Ellie calling with pocket 7s.
And of course, looking to spike a 7. Get some action from Chris Cheese's Ferguson.
I've lost money at that match. I asked him for a number, and he just couldn't give it. I mean, that just shows it everything.
I lost 12,000. That's not the point. The point is I should have won.
Oh, trust me, I've lost money at that match.
It's a lot of money.
It's probably only won a couple of thousand, but counting expenses or something like that, he's small down.
Have you ever lost $1 million on the golf course?
What?
Have you? With Bobby? No.
More than one person.
But coincidentally, my biggest loss on the golf course Was against you. Coincidentally. I mean, that is strange, right? Hard to fathom, but that was actually against you. My biggest loss.
Sorry about that one.
I think maybe my biggest loss ×3 was against you. I'm a small-time gambler nowadays. If you haven't noticed, I've played pretty tight.
You are playing pretty tight.
I'm a small-time gambler. I'm following my man Phil Hellmuth Jr. III.
We've got more red-hot poker for you from the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game after this short break. Welcome back to the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game from right here in central London. Let's get straight back to the action and rejoin your commentators, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
I did not read your book, and
you read my book on tight play, Gus. I know you did.
I will admit, I'm not happy to say so on camera, but I actually don't intend to either. But the good news is I probably should do it. But I just haven't been to the bookstore for a long time. Apology accepted.
Have you read his book, Phil?
Gus's book is terrific.
3, jack,
Check,
2, check.
Normally I would take that as an insult, but
Nothing
I know
for
you don't know I have a book out.
either player.
Well, there's something there now for Ellie.
1,600.
He's made the wheel. He's got an ace to 5 straight.
Cool.
Probably have a copy.
And Hellmuth, he's picked up the flush draw.
Don't worry about me. I don't want one.
King.
And now he's caught the king. That could be a very costly river for Phil Hellmuth.
Have you ever read a book in your whole life? You can't lie on TV.
And it's a $6,000 bet from Lederer over to Hellmuth, and I don't see how he gets away from this one.
And by the way,
You ever read Dr. Seuss? How's it doing? How's your book doing?
it's good.
I mean, how's it selling?
What?
How's it selling?
The king does, of course, complete the spade flush.
Better than any other poker board will ever do. I don't know. I think so. I mentioned at the end my biggest mistake in the tournament concerns you.
What?
My biggest mistake in the it's from the Aussie Millions that I won. In the end, I write about my biggest mistake in the tournament. It's against you.
Ellie, what do you have, Ellie?
The fact that I didn't cross-book with you in the tournament. That's written at the end. That's the biggest mistake of the tournament. Because we started at the same table.
Ellie, what's the deal, Ellie? I really can't fold this hand.
Cost me 1.2. What can I do? I'm just such a nit.
I might have played better.
That's true.
I might not have bluffed off all my chips.
There's a lot of paragraphs about you.
From now on.
Very positive.
I want to fold, Ellie, but you might have ace-jack,
You wrote the whole thing?
which is no
What?
good.
Probably also the only poker book where actually a poker player wrote the whole book.
It's sort of like
How many
their
pages?
name on the front and someone else wrote it.
300 something? No, I know actually in the English
Hellmuth does
version,
call
it's like,
this. Tough hand to get away from,
290
obviously.
or something
Can't beat
like
spades, but I think his the curiosity got the best of him.
Yeah, I think if that king doesn't come, if he catches the 10, he might get away from it. But I think he's decided I can't pass this hand.
I knew you had it, and I still called.
Really only 3 hands in the deck that are going to cost him money. Of course, if the diamond comes off, he
made a
will
tiny
get paid
bet
from
out of
Ellie, and
flush
Ellie
draw
takes
call.
down a big pot.
King came. Knew you had it. Huh.
And of course, Ellie Lederer
At least some reading well.
from Israel now calls Vegas his home,
That's all that matters.
and he is up over $67,000 today.
That's it. That's what he should do. Yeah, because he already knows all my holiday. He says Shabbat Shalom, Boker Tov. You say everything now. Laila Tov. He knows too. He knows Shmonim. Shmonim. he can't say number next to Gus. When we start playing with him, my wife used to say some numbers, so he started repeating it.
Tom Dwan in. Just a flat call from him, which is unusual.
3,000.
Well, probably because he's got a genuine hand. It's got a raise from Phil, though.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about it.
And it's interesting how we've seen Tom Dwan raise with his garbage, and here he limps in with a genuine hand.
The difference was the fact that when he's raising with the garbage, he's usually got position. At the moment, he is out of position. But I still don't think that's going to stop him playing.
Well, I think we both know he's going to play this hand, but is he going to re-raise this, or is he going to play it slow?
I think he's probably going to raise it.
Not right now. Too lazy right now. How long it took? Yeah, but I mean...
Also looks like a bit of a squeeze play, of course. With a flat call from Ellie for the 3,000, he might think that the other players might interpret it as a squeeze play.
But apart from that, just a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there.
But we both know this is a play that Dwan would do with nothing.
9,007 more.
Of course, he's got the ladies on his side in his hand. And Ivey looking him up. Nearly a $10,000 re-raise, and the action is back to Ivey.
Looks like Phil might be interpreting it as a squeeze play.
Well, these players are so good. They go so deep. Talk about levels.
Thank you.
And sure enough, you called it. We get a re-raise here from Phil Ivey. Lederer gets out of the way, and the action is back to Dwan. And how does he play this? He's out of position.
I think he's just going to move all in. He's almost played for this the way he's played the queens. He wanted it to look like a squeeze play. He's got the re-raise he's tried to induce.
He's certainly underrepresented his hand. Does he want to put it all in? And of course the question is, if he does smooth call, how do you play it post-flop?
He just folded a big line, right? You don't remember what he has.
Nice.
Wow, he's laid down the queens. It's almost like he played to get the re-raise from Phil.
He had a big hand over there.
Yeah, he really underrepresented his hand there and then got bluffed off.
I forgot they changed.
But of course, you know, two black queens, how much money do you want to commit there out of position?
It looked pretty big.
Well, it's a very strange way to play the queens.
That's why you write the books.
That's why I write the book. You know, I'm just observing.
You know, you know, if I knew you wrote a book, I'd have been needling you about it. That's how you know for sure I didn't know.
The cream of the crop are battling it out here at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game. Straight back to the action and to your commentators as well, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
That was so upsetting. There was a hand with the board at the end.
Buttons in front of Hellmuth.
It's king, queen, jack, deuce, 4. On the turn, I had 3 kings.
Action. Over to Tom Dwan in the cutoff seat.
What does he have? Did he make 2 pair?
His cutoff seat is absolutely perfect for raising up Chris Ferguson's big blind. He knows he's probably going to be the person that defends it the least. One thing he has to try and get through is Phil Ivey's small blind.
Which definitely is not as easy.
No.
That's really not often. King, queen, jack, deuce, 4. I had 3 kings on the flush draw.
There's even a slight chance that Chris Ferguson could try and defend with his queen 8 of hearts.
This is the kind of spot where Ferguson might come over the top.
Cool.
But he's just going to call this.
And I look at Gus and he takes me off with the ball.
3-8-3.
Oh, it's not a bad flop for Queen 8.
Well, he's flopped top pair. He's got 2 pair right now, of course. 8s and 3s with a queen kicker.
He can be pretty sure if he checks it, Durr's going to have a bet. Like a 90% certainty.
He obviously is not in there with the 9-4 to hit a hand. He's using his position, attacking those blinds relentlessly.
I'm annoyed. I'm going to go and see. Stefan, you went to see all the doctors, right? I've done a lot, yeah. So what?
4,007.
You know, I can't think MRI, nothing on the MRI.
And he's going to let it go.
I think all 3 options went through his mind there. Pass, raise, and call. If it had raised, I don't know what Chris would have done. I'm pretty sure Chris is going to at least call this one.
Yeah, it would have been interesting had Ivey made a move there. But I think Ferguson is definitely not going to go anywhere. And once Ferguson at least calls this, I think Dwan is done with the hand.
I think Chris will probably raise. Yeah, it makes a difference. If he's caught the queen, there's less overcards can come to his hand. He can possibly just afford to call. But here, just having the 8, he wants to find out whether he's in good shape or not.
Tom Dwan, only 22 years old, but a student of the game. And I think he has Chris Ferguson on a range of hands that he could have here.
23.3 total.
And there you go. There it is, the move.
25-3.
23.3.
25,000.
23.3. 23.3.
23,300.
And he makes it 23,300, putting the heat back on Chris Ferguson. Dwan with about 140,000 in chips. Ferguson with just over 100,000. And he is not going to lay this one down. No way, no how. He's put his money in there.
What a great call there from Chris. We're just going to have to see whether Tom can keep firing.
I mean, Chris Ferguson is a tight player, but he cannot be pushed around. There's a reason why he won the 2000 World Series of Poker main event. And of course, he's a 5-time World Series bracelet winner. Well, that's a good card if you have the Queen 8 there. Ferguson has to like that card. Pot is just over $66,000.
Check.
And does Dwan continue firing here?
Well, he has to decide if Chris is slow playing the 3. Has he got a flush draw, or does he have an 8? And which ones of those can he get him to put down? And for how much?
I have to think that he thinks Ferguson has an 8.
Oh, he's checked it. We're going to see the river. Oh, that's a card that's never going to get rid of Chris Ferguson now.
And if you're Ferguson, do you check this one more time, putting your opponent on a bluff, see if you can get some action out of him?
It's got to be going through Chris's mind. What on earth can he give Tom Dwan right now?
Check.
I think that's a good check.
I love the check. I was going to say that. Well, the world champion has given Dwan some rope, hoping that'll hang himself. And he's reaching for chips.
He just can't leave that $66,000 behind.
65.
And the bet was $16,000. It's kind of like a call me bet.
Where is?
40,000 total.
Well, I think it was a fantastic check on the river by Chris Ferguson.
16.
Managed to induce the bluff from Tom.
How's that?
Extremely good play, really, from both players. You know, it was a real pressure play from Tom. He's unlucky Chris Ferguson is as good as he is. and made that really good call on the flop.
Here comes lockdown at its finest.
I wasn't sure how it was on the flop. I check raised him. I just hit 8 and an 8. That's a 3-3-8 on the flop. I had queen 8. I called from the big blind. I guess I check raise him. He bets 4. I make it 12, and then he makes a small re-raise to 24, 23 something. So I don't like my 8 that much. He could easily have an overpair because he raised before the flop. He could have an 8 as well. If he has an 8 as well, then I probably have him out kicked with my queen. He might have ace 8, but probably have him out kicked with my queen. I expect 7, 8, 8, 9, 8, 10 more likely. There was also a flush draw possible out there, so I thought he might have a flush draw. I call his raise. Not too happy about it. Turn comes a blank. There goes check, check. Now I like my hand. He really seems like he has a flush draw. I hit an 8 on the river, making 8s full. Now if he's on a flush draw, the best way to get money from him is to check it to him and hope he's going to bluff at me. That's what I do. He bets 16,000. I raise it to 40,000. They're very small bets actually. It was 50,000 in the pot, and he folded. So I guess he had the flush draw.
We take a look at the leaderboard one more time. David Benjamin in the lead here, up over $70,000. Chris Ferguson, courtesy of that last hand, up over $62,000. Tom Dwan, he's holding the torch for the internet, and he is down over $108,000 already.
Can't take it anymore.
Straddle, live straddle, 1200.
Got a live straddle here from David Benjamin.
Fold.
Action over to Ivey. It's 1200 to call.
Let's make it 3-6-12.
Raising 4,000. Total bet is 4,000 to call.
Ready?
Fold, fold, fold.
Let's make this game 3-6-12.
I will fold.
Fold.
You insist.
Gus not going to play this.
Chris,
No, I object.
Wow, Phil, why did I get you
Cool.
over here?
Benjamin is going to call this. We're going to see the heads up. Benjamin versus Ivey. Now, Benjamin has had Ivey's number. He's bluffed him out of a couple of pots already.
Check, check.
A couple of hearts out there. King, queen, 7.
Check.
And they both check it. Ivey with the best hand right now. He's got 2 pair. Benjamin has the heart in his hand.
6,500 to call.
David thinks the ace high might be good. He thinks the 8 of hearts might be live, and he's loath to give up on a pot like this. Once you bluff someone already, you're just sort of tempted to go again because the guy thinks, well, surely he can't be bluffing me again, and,
For the Chinese.
and that's what he's doing now.
Yeah.
For the Chinese?
Raising 26,500.
He's a sick man, David Benjamin.
20,000 more.
Yeah, 26,000 he puts in there.
Ivey's an insta-call.
Ivey's not going anywhere. He's got 2 pair.
Thank you.
And this pot is now $62,000. Deuce of diamonds. Well, you got to love that as a blank if you're Ivey.
Phil really enjoyed that.
And what does Benjamin do now? Does he shut down? Or does he fire again, try to represent the flush?
Bet 52,000.
And he makes a $52,000 bluff. Really puts the test to Phil Ivey. Can he call this $52,000?
I'll jump into the Thames if Phil Ivey folds this. It's just not going to fold.
It's funny. It's funny.
Is he trying to get a read off Benjamin?
Yeah, of course, you're always trying to get a read, see if the guy can give off strength or weakness. You know, these guys are masters at that.
Ivey hasn't had a misstep the entire day. Lost with the pocket aces earlier when Ellie got lucky. But this is a tough call. And he's definitely contemplating folding, isn't he, Roland?
Fold.
Wow.
And he folds it. Look at that. He lets it go.
I won't show you this time, but I want to. I don't want to hurt you.
You won't hurt me. Show.
Well, I'm afraid that is where we're going to have to leave it for now from the FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. Plenty of drama this time around and plenty more next time as well. I hope you'll join us then, but from all of us, it's bye for now.